What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to What's Your Story? So a little bit different today. I'm not going to be interviewing anyone, but I will be talking about my journey. So it's basically going to be interviewing myself and just talking about my journey, how I got to where I am today, and just kind of from where it started in fitness, health, my mindset, a little bit of my background, into some of the jobs I took, to my ups and downs, my challenges, and how I've got to where I am today. And hopefully I can connect with you at, some type of level, whether it's, mindset or career or just different things that I may have gone through that you may have gone through. So that's what we're going to be doing today, is just talking about my story. So like with everybody else, I want to start from the beginning. So for me, when fitness started, I was 19 years old. I was 19 years old when I actually went to the gym for the first time. But prior to that, I was into sports. The problem is while I was into sports, I never trained to be an athlete. It was never like in the gym doing drills. I did some of like baseball growing up was my sport. So like we would take BP, I would go to practice, things along those lines. But I never took it serious enough or looked at it as the value that I could add when it come to like actually putting in more work, when it came to being in the gym and that kind of stuff. And I think a lot of that for me was lack of confidence. In high school, I really lacked confidence. I didn't really believe in myself. I wasn't a good student. I was, C average student, some D's, a couple B's, but I wasn't a good student, and I struggled, semester to semester, year to year when I was going through high school. And I missed a lot of days of school. I was one of those kids that was like honestly friends with everybody, but I didn't necessarily have a group, or I didn't have my go-to. I had like one or two close friends, but we would just play Xbox, we'd be online. Gears of War 1 was my shit. Call of Duty 4, that was, back in 2005, 6, 7, 8 range. That's when I was doing a lot of. And I always thought growing up I was going to be that professional baseball player. And I know it sounds funny talking about what I just said when it comes to, not putting in the work, but I was playing, man, like every single day. I may have not putting weight root stuff in, but every day I was playing. And, from like 2 years old, 1 year old, having videos of me, playing, that was like my goal. And in 2015, or 2004, holy shoot, I'm like, when I'm talking about this, I forget what years we're in. So I graduated, I went to high school from 2004 to 2008. 2005, I broke my femur. And that was like the big injury for me. I had shoulder injuries growing up, and in basically 2005, 2 days before Christmas, I went snowboarding. And I went up to Jiminy Peak, down Left Bank, which is like nothing crazy, like a blue trail, which is an easy trail. A lot of people go down it. And it was dead that night. It was later in the night. And, I came around the corner, there was 3 of us, and then this one kid who we didn't know. It was Adam O'Neill, John Kirby, and there was a group of us. But then that one kid we didn't know just took my legs out from under me in a corner because he fell. We washed out, went right into the woods. I hit a tree, and we were flying down the mountain, and instantly I knew that was like the big thing for me. Like I hit it, concussion, whipped around my head. I had a helmet on, but concussion, and I felt my leg just like, it was the hardest impact I've ever made of like anything between my like head and my leg. And then I kind of came to after a couple seconds. Like I didn't go out, but I was like out of it. And it was like wild because my friend's like, get up, man, get up, let's go. And it was my buddy Colin too. That's who was there because he got hurt like 2 weeks prior. So he's like telling me to get up, like let's go. And I just couldn't move. I'm like, dude, my leg, man, my leg. And it ended up being not a compound fracture. So, but you could see kind of you could feel the bump, like the skin was getting pushed on. So like my buddy bombs down the mountain, comes to get ski patrol. Ski patrol comes up. It felt like a while, but I don't really know how long it was, probably like 5-10 minutes. And they get the sled, and then I don't know if you've ever had traction before. For any of those who broke bones, man, like I got into traction, so he's pulling on my ankle, and what that does is my bone is basically off, right? So here's the bone, and it broke. They have to pull your leg back to get the bone centered, and then they'll lock you in, so you get that bone straightened out. And you're in excruciating pain until it gets to that point. And so they get me in traction after that. Felt like forever, man. It sucked. So I get out of traction, or get him in traction. They bring me to the hospital. Kind of remember Foggy being there. And I'm thinking it's a break, right? I'm going to be out of there, brace me up or something. Let's go home. And I get there, and all of a sudden my foot is on fire. I mean, like numb. I mean, like crazy numb and on fire. And I'm like, Dad, my foot, my foot, my foot. And he's like, dude, you broke your femur. Like, how's it your foot? So we go to see the doctor, and my boot that I had on was one of those like cinching ones that has wire or like metal that tightens and it cranks on the boot. And that was pinching the circulation of my foot off. So my foot was numb, like completely circulation getting cut off. And luckily, like eventually the pain got bad where they checked it. They loosened the boot up, but the problem was they took me out of traction. So the bone goes loop back like this, and they have to pull me back into traction again. This time, instead of someone literally leaning back, they had someone with like a crank, and they slowly cranked it and then hooked a weight to the end of the bed, and then it just sat there. So that's kind of how they got in traction. And then I hear them talking, and they're telling me, oh, you can't have surgery tonight. You're going to have it tomorrow. And I'm like, what? Like surgery? And didn't even think crossing my mind. I'm like 15, 16 years old at this point. I think 15, 16. And it was like, whoa, okay. So like I stay the night, have surgery the next day, stay the night, and then come home the next day. And it's literally, I think it was the day after Christmas when I actually went home. So it was like the 23rd I got hurt, and I didn't go home till like the 26th. So like missed Christmas, spent it in the hospital, went home, and man, that was it. Like I missed like from end of December to all the way to February vacation for school. Like they allowed me to pass because I did enough work at home, but that was the moment that like baseball was no longer gonna happen. Like I was an okay player in high school, but I didn't have the drive anymore. Like I didn't have confidence in the first place, so that just took everything away. I ended up playing like varsity. I went to JV as a junior after playing varsity for a year, just because I was so broken and beat up. And then I moved up to varsity, and it was just like a mess, man. So that was the beginning of like injuries, right? That was the big injuries that hit. And back to when I started lifting when I was like 19 years old, all this has happened. And, I get out of high school. I don't go to college. I'm one of those people that didn't go to college. I was never pushed to go. I wasn't comfortable with, going to school. It was just, to me, it was just so much more work, and I had no clue what I wanted to do, and I wasn't ever taught to do it. One of those things my parents, brought it up, but didn't really push me to be uncomfortable. They both didn't go to college. So I took 4 years off. I worked, at a pharmacy after high school. I worked there for 2 years. Then I got a job at H.A. George while I wanted to be a volunteer firefighter. So then I went to school to be a firefighter. And in this time at 19, I started to work out. And it really was like, I want to go to the gym. So me and my buddy Andy go to the gym, and our goal was like, we want to run a marathon, like out of the blue. Never worked out, never ran, never did anything in our life. We want to run a marathon. So we decide to go into the gym and just start running on a treadmill. And we're like, we'll add a mile every week. We'll run I figured it was 3 or 4 days a week. And every Sunday we would do an extra mile. And I remember getting up to like a 6 or 7 mile span on a treadmill from no experience in like 7-8 weeks. Shin splints, beat up. My body was destroyed. I'm like, this sucks. I don't want to do this. So we don't do that, right? And then we're like, let's start lifting weights. Like, let's try to get stronger, build some muscle. And I remember the first program we did, it was crazy. We literally did a 2-day on, 1 day off. And the 2-day on was the same workout back-to-back days. And then we take a day off. It was like pull down, bench press, biceps, triceps, maybe 2 other movements, but we didn't do legs. There was no legs or anything like that. And then we take a day off, and then we do 2 days in a row again and take a day off. And it was one of those kind of had no idea we were doing workouts, just read something online. So we started doing that. That's how I got introduced into the gym. And then it just slowly but surely, as I build muscle, as I get stronger, we start to improve, and confidence started to get better. At 20, I got LASIK surgery, which was under 21. There was a different procedure I did. It was actually 19 when I got that. So now my confidence starts to grow because I didn't have glasses. I wasn't feeling like the goofy kid anymore. I was starting to get stronger. I was starting to get some muscle, and I just felt good, man. And I think for me, that was a huge changing point in my life, from building confidence, feeling good about yourself, and no longer feel like you're insecure as much. And it was still always there. But I started getting in the gym more. I started to have a little basement gym, and I started at Planet Fitness. And I remember getting there, and man, Once I started to have a clue what I was doing, which looking back, I really didn't, but I started structuring things better, and it was more of your bodybuilding, old school split of like arms, a chest day, a back day, a shoulder day, a leg day. I just went off, and I was like, I was so fired up and felt so good about it. I would eat everything. It wasn't good food. I remember like fried chicken and French fries for dinner my mom would make, and peas and corn and stuff like that, and just, I was just eating everything. But like my metabolism was through the roof, and I just grew. Like I remember graduating high school, I think I was like 135. Me and Dan Gamache were like the two skinniest kids in school, and I remember we were always like, you're the two littlest guys, and I had like nacho and cheese Lunchables in high school, cheese and crackers, like chips, Doritos, Fruit Loops, Gushers, but my calorie intake was so small, and I'm naturally thin as it is, so it was bad. So when I started eating everything and training, I started to grow like crazy. I remember after the first year, I think I got into 170s. So I put on like 40 pounds, probably 35 to 40 pounds in a year. And it wasn't all pure muscle, but a shit ton of muscle. Because that first year when you're training, your body is like sucking it up. It loves it. Like it loves it. And you just grow like crazy, especially at that age. A big piece of advice I'd give to someone is when you're that young, man, just train. Do not diet. Eat good quality protein. Eat a calorie surplus. Get your carbs in. Get your good fats in, and just eat. Do not worry about leaning out. Obviously, don't just bulk up and put on fat. But like if you train hard and eat, you will grow. And I got super strong. I remember doing like these. By the time at the end of the year, I think we're doing like 30-set chest workouts, 30-set bicep and tricep workouts, and the volume was crazy. I remember little tweaks and shoulder strains and stuff like that, but when you're younger, you can get away with it. Now I'm 29, so 10 years ago, like these sets were crazy, but it worked, and it was how I got introduced into the gym. And once I felt that, it took over my life. That was the thing. It became a lifestyle for me. I remember going to like friends' parties at like 20 and bringing like my own like tuna and stuff. Like I was over the top, but I was so addicted to feeling better, feeling stronger. And it was, what I love about the gym, and this is something I talk about here and there, but is just, that's the one thing I can control. Like people judge you, people hate on you. I wasn't going to school. I wasn't really doing what I wanted to do work-wise, but I could control how my body changed. I control what I ate, how much I ate, how hard I worked out. And those things no one could take away from me. You could shit on me all you want, but I grew a fucking sweet physique because that was under my control, and you couldn't take that away. And that's what I love about the gym is like, it's completely up to you, how you look, how you feel, how strong you are, and what you achieve in the gym. So that was a huge changing point for me. So Planet Fitness, I'm crushing it. At 20, like I said, I started working different jobs. At 21, I knew the firefighter thing wasn't going to be me. I wanted to work at a gym, and at 20, I should say, I got a job. From 18 to 20, I was at the pharmacy, and then at 20 to 21, I got a job at Retro Fitness. I was the assistant manager there, and I remember literally driving around at 20, 21 years old, in that range, and I was driving around. I was in McDonald's parking lot, sitting there, and I remember I put an application in, and I was getting ready for an interview, and I'm like, I refuse to take another job. I want to be in the fitness industry. I'm like, I don't care what it pays. I want to get in a gym, and I want to like pursue something in the fitness industry. And that's all I wanted. So not knowing really what it entailed, I didn't care if it was front desk. I didn't care what it is. So I took a job at Retro, ended up getting it, impressed the woman there, and got the assistant manager job, which really was like, I think like $2 more an hour in your full time. I was the opener. That was a wild shift. 4 a.m. to noon, and even though it was a shitty, long, early shift, I just wanted to get in. I wanted experience, and I get up at 3, leave my house at 3:30, get there for 4, and the gym opened from 4:30 at 4:30, and I'd be there till noon. Then I would train afterward. I'd just work out after, and that was my routine. I did that for a year, and then through a good friend, this was like, I would say another, between like the femur break and throwing me off and getting into the gym, this was like the defining moment of when I knew I was going to do something more. Is I met a friend of mine, Glenn Del Reyes. Beast, man. Like, he's well known in Pittsfield. He's Oregon. He's all over the country, and he's a strength conditioning coach, but he also is a biomechanics specialist. He basically really taught me the majority of what I knew for the most of my life. And it was that first couple months. And he looked at training so much different than everything I looked at. He looked at, isolating muscles, but you still could be a full body connection and focusing on gripping the floor, even when you're bench pressing, focusing on, connecting everything, contracting everything, focusing on not moving weights, but controlling what muscle you actually want to work. And that was wild to me. And the training we did, we were doing like full body workouts every day, but training specific to not overtraining. And even when I was doing like pulls and pushes, we did all kinds of crazy stuff, but it was amazing. And he was like, hey, Jeff, we connected, and I think he was like 5, 6, 7 years older than me, and maybe more. He might have been in his 30s when I was like 21, 22. And he told me that he's like, let's train for like, 2, 3, 4 months together. And we trained every day, at least 5 or 6 days a week. And I learned so much from him. And in conversation, I'm like, hey man, what do you think? Like, I want more. I think I should get my certification. I think I should potentially go to school. And he's like, dude, go to school, get training. You can always do what you're doing now. Just, learn more and be better. So I decided at that point to go to basically BCC, Berkshire Community College. And I was pursuing an associate degree. First year, you become a personal trainer, you get your certification through ACE. And then the second year, you get their certificate program, or you get their degree program. And basically, it's the intro to like exercise science, kind of. And it was called a health science degree focused on physical fitness. So I did that. I won an award there for being the student most likely to succeed in their field. It's called like the Falconers Award, I think. And that was kind of like the first time in my life I truly believed in myself. I was a C student, like I said, in high school. I couldn't even go to college if I wanted, realistically, besides like community college, because my grades were so bad. I wasn't a good student. And when I got into a program I was actually interested in, and I already had like some knowledge going into the program, I was an A student, like 3.5 GPA, crushed it, and it came natural to me, and because I was so interested in it, and won the award. So the belief that I could do more and be more, it was clicking now. And at the end of the semester of my second year there, I talked to Sherry Shearer, who was my professor, and she told me, I basically came in the room like, hey, I don't want to be a trainer around here. I want to do more. So what can I do to do more? Her and Eric Nystrom, who's also like an important person in my life, I talked to, was like, you go to college. I see you doing your bachelor's, maybe your master's in, exercise science or just teaching or something along those lines. So I looked into Springfield College, only school I applied to because they're well known for exercise science, strength conditioning, anything in the health field. They're very good, which was like an hour and a half commute from my house. So I was going to live on campus, and I'm 24 at this time, which was a tough decision. I'm like, hey, 24, I'm going to be an odd student going to college, but I want more. So I basically made the decision, I'm going to live on campus at 24. I'm going to finish my bachelor's and degree in 2 years and then graduate and look, at something more. Went to Springfield, an amazing experience at Springfield. Like, it was tough. I won't lie. It was an amazing experience because it challenged me, but it was tough. And when I was at Springfield, it was interesting because I wasn't your traditional student. After my first semester, I found out what an RA was. I never knew what an RA was, which is a resident assistant, which they would pay for your room and board if you were willing to be an RA. And you basically watched the entire floor one every other week or one time a month. I forget what it was. You had to be up on a Saturday or Sunday till like 3 a.m. and make sure no shit went down, all these meetings. You basically are babysitting / overseeing everything and holding people accountable to like the rules of the school. So I did that, which saved me like $25,000, which was huge. It wasn't fun. It definitely wasn't fun. And I have a couple bad experiences with that, with a kid getting kicked out of school, which I felt wicked bad for because it was kind of on my shoulders for reporting something. And so not the greatest experience with that, but it allowed me to take the next steps. After Springfield, I did an internship at Equinox out in Boston, and I got paid at the same time because I was kind of working there. So I decided to go corporate fitness. I wanted to work in a big box gym. I heard Equinox, you can make good money. It was working with a high-end population, and that's what I did. And I hustled, man. And this is the best advice for other people is you have to put in the work. Like, you truly have to put in the work, because when I went out there, I was like, fuck it, man, we're just going to make this work. And nonetheless, this is the crazy part for me, is I was in the middle of my first bodybuilding show prep. I'm going to backtrack a tiny bit. First year at Springfield, I was like, I'm going to do my first ever bodybuilding show. I did it while I was in school, prepped while I was in school, dieted on my own while I was in school, all on my shoulders, counted my macros, weighed my food out, buying food at the school, making things work. And I ended up almost winning my pro card. And out of 27 people, I came in second. And it was a wild, I won my class, I won novice, I almost won everything, and I came in second. So that was a wild experience while I was there, balancing out school, balancing out bodybuilding, and pushing myself, continuing to get better. So then I left college. I left the first year, go to the second year, and I'm getting ready to leave and find Equinox. And in the middle of Equinox, which I'm graduating in May, so I'm taking a job in June at Equinox, I'm in the middle of my bodybuilding prep for my second year, going for my pro card again. Now, this is where, for me, it became one of the most mental battles of my life, but in the best way possible, because there was a ride or die situation. It was either all or nothing, no plan B, have to make it work. I moved out to Boston, Equinox, had a 3-month lease. When I went down, I only had enough money for first month's rent. The job was only guaranteed 15 hours a week of, I think, $12 an hour. No, it was minimum wage. It was 10 or 12 bucks an hour. And then besides that, you had to sell your own clients. You had to pick up people on the floor. You had to make sales and stuff like that. So just put it all on my shoulders. Here we go. We're going to have to make it work. On the weekends, I decided to take a pool job. I was basically like a lifeguard. They called it a pool boy. So I did 8 hours on Saturday, 8 hours on Sunday at a pool, just overseeing it. And, it was just whatever you got to do. I was biking to work, had nothing. And it was just, a mental game of not a lot of money, biking to work, getting groceries with the backpack, just making things work while I'm doing this. And it worked. And I ended up meeting people. I picked up a couple clients, which eventually got me out of that place. Moved in with one of my clients because of just putting on such a positive mindset all the time. And that was important. Every night I was up late. I didn't sleep enough, but I built such a positive mindset that you couldn't break me. I went into each day I'm doing good. Today's going to be great. We're awesome. Positivity. And that to me was why things ended up working out, because I picked up more clients. I, made connections, and people wanted to be around me because of the positive energy I was bringing. And I was so driven at that point. And so with the bodybuilding, as I got into Equinox, I continued to train, and I came up to my bodybuilding show. And man, like I said, I did everything I could for that show. It was an insane experience. And the day the show came, and it was the most satisfying moment of my life. By far, more than the degree, because the amount of shit I was juggling and in the situation I put myself in, the place I was living, it was a shithole. And it just, that day came, and I remember being backstage. I posed. My buddies, my parents are there. And it was crazy. They're like, you're in the middle pretty much. And I'm like, really the middle? And it was kind of in between, maybe you're not. And I'm sitting there, and I'm in the back, and they're getting ready to call people out to see who won this show. And, I found out that I won my class, and I was going to go to a pose down for the overall. And I'm like, frick, man, this is it. It's down to me and two other people. So it's first, second, or third. And I'm in the back, and I'm sitting there at the time with an ex-girlfriend, and my brother, and I'm talking to my brother, and I'm like, Joe, I did everything I could, man. I don't know what else I could have did. I don't think I could have literally done anything more. Cardio, dieting, the weight of everything going on. I thought I did everything I could. So I just told him, I did everything I could, man. I don't know. If I don't win, I don't know what I could have done more. And we're sitting back there, and then all of a sudden I hear third place, I hear second place, and then my heart kind of drops. I'm like, I did it. Holy shit, I did it. And it was crazy, because that moment, I call me out, I'm in the middle of the stage, I'm a picture of me, my freaking hands are in the air, and two guys holding it that are promoting the show, trophies in front of me and I'm crying on stage. I've been trying to hold it back. You can see my tears coming. And it was just like the most satisfying moment of my life that like you put in the work, you can achieve anything you want. I was so mentally driven that you couldn't beat me, you know? Like I wasn't the biggest guy. I wasn't and you know, like I didn't have the best genetics, but I got so fucking lean that no one was going to out diet me and no one was going to outwork me. And if I lost bringing the best of me and doing everything I could, because like I said, I wasn't the most gifted guy there. I wasn't the most genetically gifted guy there. So that moment was huge. It really proved to me like what I'm capable of if I put my mind to something. And it was just such a great experience. And then, you know, I ended up taking a job after that. I was at Equinox for a while. Took a job at Fitness Together to run the gym. First of all, I was going to be like the head trainer. I did that for like 6 months. And then they sold the gym to someone else, and I ended up being a manager and training. Also manage and then train, which helped me financially. It put me in a really good spot. I was saving a ton of money. I put a ton of money into my teeth. Like I paid off some bills, some debt. And, you know, I met, you know, Mal, my fiance there, and it was just this crazy experience of like through Springfield and, you know, all this stuff coming together. And it was just wild, man. It was just so freaking wild of how things started to roll. And I Fitness Together, after a year, it basically turned into, you know, I wanted more. And then my fiance at the time got a job somewhere else. You know, Bree ended up taking a job at Hartford. We'd made the decision together that it'd be best for her to pursue that and move towards, you know, more west and south to get closer to Hartford and Connecticut. So what we did is I left Fitness Together after 2 years. I made good opportunities, good connections, but I knew for me, like training full-time started to be demanding and draining, and this lifestyle of a trainer and a coach and the sales part was not me. Like I love training, I love working with people, but I wanted something a little different. I think a big part of it was my injuries were starting to flare up. You know, my style was powerlifting, you know, bodybuilding, and all these injuries from the femur break to dislocated shoulders and all this stuff that happened over the years were really starting to beat me up. And because I couldn't train the same, I felt like I didn't have the same motivation to work with other people at a full-time scale in the gym. I still wanted to work with people, but not in a gym setting at all times. So basically we moved to Westfield, Mass. I took a job at Berkshire Community College, my old college, as their fitness director as an interim position. So basically like an 8 to 10 month position because someone was on leave. So I took that and I liked it there. It was cool, but it was a little slower pace than I wanted. I didn't see growth opportunity. It was more of a stable job, but I didn't really feel like it had a spot that would open up long term. Plus, like I said, it was an interim position, so I wasn't guaranteed anything when it was over. And then when it was over, I had nothing. And that's what it came down to. We did a year in Westfield. I had nothing, and Bree's commute was over an hour. Mine was over an hour for a year. So what we decided to do is move to South Windsor, Connecticut. That put her like 15 minutes from work. And for me, I didn't have anything lined up at the time. So I was like, I'll go wherever and I'll make it work. Well, come to find out, shit hit the fan. And this is where I took a big risk in not having a job set up. And that's maybe a regret that I have, but it was a learning experience for sure. Because I did Uber, man, for 5 months. Like I did Ubering for 5 months after having my degree and all this stuff that I did and jobs that I worked and making like $80,000 a year to I'm Ubering for 5 months. And for me, it was so tough because mentally it fucked me and mentally it destroyed me. I was such in a bad mindset for like a year and a half, for like almost most of the time at Berkshire Community College and in Westfield, because I took a 50% pay cut. I wasn't saving money. I wasn't doing really what I wanted to do. I felt like I stalled out in my career and I wasn't happy. My body was beat up. That year, I also had a bad back injury. Like I was out of work for a week. I couldn't walk. Like I went to the hospital, like all this shit, man. And sorry, my allergies are going crazy. But it was a mentally destroying thing. And it took me 5 months of just pitying myself and beating myself up to start to find myself again. And I felt like I started to find myself, and then an opportunity came up at ESPN. So I took a job at ESPN as a wellness operations coordinator. Basically, you're on the operations part of corporate wellness of the ESPN team. So ESPN Wellness basically have your own. They have the facility. They have where everyone works out. It's like a gym, but it has a little bit more stuff. Basketball courts. They have intramural stuff. So I started to oversee all that stuff. So over the last 5 months, I've been doing that, which has been good. It's been an awesome experience. Like ESPN is so cool. The people that you meet, you can tell they take care of their employees, and they're really important when it comes to pushing, health and wellness and mindset. And it's one of the companies that I've been part of that really focus on keeping yourself healthy and taking time for yourself. But you also learn a lot there because it's a high standard, and they really teach you a lot and to do things on your own and force you to grow, setting your own goals and doing things on your own. So that's where I've been for the last 5 months. And it's been interesting because now we got to this point at the coronavirus hits. We get to the point where everything in the country is kind of going haywire. And I've been home since March. So now let's see here, I don't know, like 4 or 5 months. It's going to be like 4 to 5 months, maybe 6 months before I go back. Right now, it's been like 3 months. And it's been crazy because for me, this has been a time of reflection. And it's been tough for a lot of people. And I think for me, the time of reflection has been so important to really think about what I want. And I think that's what a lot of us have to do at this time is a lot of us lost jobs, a lot of us are at home. And I think it gives you time to like really reflect and, think about what you're doing, why you're doing it. And what do you want to do moving forward? What kind of impact are you trying to make? I think there's a song, it's like One Man Can Change the World. It's one of my favorite songs. And I think for me, that's been like, man, I feel like I could really make a big impact. So that's when I started doing my podcast. That's when I'm doing this now. The What's Your Story page started up. That's when all this kind of started, is when my mind started to switch to, I want to make an impact. I want to help people. I want to tell stories. I want to connect with other people through stories and help them tell their story. Maybe we can connect at a different level and pushing be kind and pushing chase discomfort and, think about what I want moving forward. And that's a big part of it. So, I know things are going to be a little crazy moving forward, and I know things are going to be a little different, and there's a lot of things potentially in the works for what's going to be happening moving forward. And so, my goal right now, to sum all this up, is I'm just trying to get better each day. I'm trying to be positive. I just set a goal to do a Spartan Beast in Killington in September. So I'm training now for that, which is 13 miles, 30 plus obstacles. So that's my goal right now is to push myself like that. And then pushing this, this podcast and be kind, chase discomfort, which are the two slogans, if you want to say, for this podcast. And also just trying to help people, man, and push a positive message. Because that's where I'm at right now. Is I've been pushing fitness and nutrition for so long. And right now I'm drained. I'm honestly drained. So I want to continue to do that, but I'm enjoying pushing a positive message and trying to help people just be positive and feel good. And I think if I can help more people build discipline, push positivity, create accountability, and just create a better mindset on a day-to-day basis through discipline in so many different ways, the fitness and nutrition will come. If you don't have a good mindset, the nutrition and fitness isn't going to go anywhere. You're not going to be in a good situation because it's not going to be sustainable because you basically have a short-term goal. If we create a new mindset and create some disciplines day after day, fitness-related, mindset-related, nutrition-related, that is going to help you long-term. That's going to build the discipline that you want. That's going to build the habits you want, the lifestyle that you want, the career that you want, because once you physically work on yourself, focusing on self-development, that is going to be the game changer, and that's going to be the difference from you getting to where you want to be and taking maybe a job or staying at something you're doing now that you don't want to do, or maybe improving where you're at. Maybe you can move up in your company. Maybe you can get a better job within the same company because now your mindset's better. You're doing more. You're trying to improve instead of just getting by. I hate the thought of being average. To me, like being average is like the most depressing thing for me. And my thought of average is everyone's different. For me, it's really like if I'm not always growing in some type of way or physically getting better, mentally getting better. So like, that's my thought of it. It doesn't mean you have this job and that means you're average. It means every day that you're not growing in some type of way. You're not chasing discomfort. You're not pushing yourself to be uncomfortable. You're not being a good human. You're not trying to help other people's lives. Like those are the things that I think we need to do on a daily basis in order to make us grow, that growth mindset, not fix, but also impact others' life, which basically will help our own life. Like How many times that you help someone else's life that you feel good and it impacts your life? So if we all could focus on helping other people at the same time, reading self-development books, focusing on audiobooks, positive mindset podcast, YouTube videos, like getting up, focusing on our own health, improving our energy, like working out, eating better. These are all the things that like are very simple concepts, but if we could do on a day-to-day basis, everything's gonna be better. Inside and outside the gym, your workplace, your relationship, you need to focus on you. You can't make anyone else happy until you focus on you in your own life. That is the game changer right there. Focus on getting yourself better, helping others along the way. And once you're in a good mindset and you have like those basic disciplines, teach other people, help other people, reach out to someone, shoot a text, like, how's it going? Give someone a call. And then whatever your career choice is, use all that to better your career financially, mentally, physically, and get the life that you actually want, and don't settle for something less. Fear is something that we create. Fear isn't real. If you're fearing something and you're stressing yourself out on a day-to-day basis, you're going through that situation twice. If you're worried about what's going to happen tomorrow because of A, B, C, or D, like, deal with it when it gets there. Why should worry about it now and go through that thing twice, 3 times, 4 times before it even happens, and then maybe it doesn't even happen. So anyway, guys, I just wanted to tell you my story. And I hope you enjoyed it. I hope you learned something about me, and I hope I, gave you some piece of information that could be helpful. At the end of the day, I want you to keep continuing to chase discomfort, push yourself every single day to get better in some type of way. Reading 10 pages in a book, drinking more water, eating some food, whatever it may be. And, also be kind. Let's be a good human, man. Just be a good person and help other people along the way. So I hope you guys enjoyed the podcast. At the end of the day, chase discomfort, be kind. I'll talk to you guys soon.